I call myself Guy on the internet, and also in my webcomic. I also have the internet username of Manly Burger, and of course, you should already be able to see how that is interesting. Worthikids is a Homestuck fan, and this is very obvious for any fan of Homestuck. Not only the artistic sensibilities and the musical sensibilities and the concept, clowns are a big Homestuck thing, and even his avatar is, it's Slimer. You know, the main character of Homestuck, John Egbert, well, kind of the main character. You could argue there are multiple. Of course, Caliborn is the best candidate for being the main character. So anyway, John Egbert's shirt has a knockoff Slimer on it. So this is real obvious, Homestuck fanery. Yeah. I'm also using my handheld massager. Not actually a massager for my hands. That would be unhealthy. All the fragile bones. Yeah. Anyway. So, I hadn't watched his series. I don't like to watch anything made by people involved with things like Homestuck or Gravity Falls because it creates a very negative spiritual climate for me to experience and also affect my life. You can see here that quite a few people I follow keep up with Worthikids, his projects and whatever. And when it comes to the pieces of his, his creative... Hey, kitty. The pieces of his creative works, there's one missing piece, the burger thing. I didn't get to explain this because people avoided forming relationships with me, but there's a big meaning to Manly Burger that's actually cosmic in scale. My best friend referred to this, Manly Burger, the optimum unit of man. And she affirmed that this meant that men are measured by burgers. What does that mean? It's a little mystery. So anyway, the first meaning of, Manly Burger was actually a Team Fortress 2 sort of formation involving the Demo Man being flanked by characters of two other classes, and the joke was that the black character was in the middle. And so Manly Burger, it has a racial meaning, and if you read my content, you'll see that I expand upon the theology of race, what exactly race signifies in God's design, and I'll get back to that a little later. So anyway, here is what motivated this video. I literally came up with the idea of making it after, responding to this. And this troll has the response pattern of somebody who trolled me for years. He says not to reply. Then I have to remind him that's a reply. Just the same idiocy over and over for literally years. That's the most that Homestuck fans, wanted to give me. Just getting harassed on the internet, which, is just being a Homestuck fan. They're trolling like the trolls. And, the villain, Caliborn, represents myself. And basically the children who are supposed to be the heroes go after him like idiots for no particular reason. I mean, what exactly is the reason for them to be opposed to Caliborn? He's a misogynist or something. Yeah, so I'm gonna remove. And here's a YouTube video for one of the female characters. So there's a bit of a scam going on that Andrew planned, because I'm a special type of male. I'm a special type of male. I'm really good at making friends with girls, and this has an actual metaphysical purpose, because I'm good at interconnecting with female artists. When God created the world, it included things like the internet, it included things like artwork, it included things like culture, and so on and so forth. It wasn't just Adam and Eve, just sitting in a hut with sticks, grunting or whatever. That's the sort of stupid vision of God's creation that atheists came up with. And so, my big thing as a teenager was, well, among other things, it was identity. It was what makes people different. I didn't believe in things all being the same. The main way I expressed that was criticizing artwork that was all the same. Generic anime artwork that all looks the same. Thousands of artists who all draw anime the same. Comic books. Most of the styles were the same. Same muscle men who make the same lack of expression most of the time. Cartoons, the same Disney imitation, the same UPA imitation from works like Dexter's Lab and Powerpuff Girls. All the same. Mindless regurgitation and imitation. And there were some special girls who heard this and they really took to it. They really appreciated it. These girls were female artists. They include my best friend, IPGD, and also various friends of hers, and also various webcomic creators who are associated with the comics and cartoons board of 4chan that comment exchanges from with a troll. And they just pretend like she doesn't exist anymore. Well, they don't even do that much. They just avoid mentioning her. They do their best to avoid mentioning her and responding when I say, my best friend joined the team. And they ask for proof. I don't know what they're asking for proof of, but I just want to discuss my best friend joining the team. That's the first thing I want to discuss. I have a lot of other things to discuss, like, I don't know, losing all financial opportunities, or maybe people tormenting me while I had a neck injury, which is when I got this, But I really wanted to focus on my best friend, but they just refused. It's just a complete inhumanity. That's what a Homestuck fan is. I never had any interactions with Worthikids unless he posted on 4chan or something, but he still participates in that Homestuck fan culture. Jesus said, by their fruits you can know them. Well, the fruits of Worthikids is trolls harassing me over and over, saying the same stupid crap over and over. And why did they do that? To protect Worthikids. They wanted to protect Bigtop Burger because they knew I could just blow it up instantly. But I wasn't focused on that. That's an idea that comes from the Caliborn or Bec Noir character. Both of those characters basically represent myself. And they both have an obsession with destruction. But this is a very, very twisted mischaracterization. Although Caliborn he's pretty cool. Caliborn he's good in an indescribable way. What's twisted is that I was focused on destroying things like, just generic artwork. And where does generic artwork come from? It comes from, it comes from Satan. It comes from evil spirits. They don't love God's creations, which are humans. They just want to use them for their own purposes, and so they don't care about human beings flourishing. I do, and so it makes them angry. And Homestuck is essentially satanic, which are even acknowledged in like Friendsim by referring to the comic as the Devil's Treasure. That was after I had been in solitude for years, and the whole project was basically getting desperate and just, starting to ask for the big conflict with myself, implicitly saying, "Yeah, this is the whole thing is satanic. It's a treasure of the devil. Let's get it going." I didn't get it going because, I was in poverty and I was just trying to make some friends and help people back in the late 2000s, 2010, in the early 2010s. I was just trying to get a career going. And people had these bizarre reactions to me, like I was so high and mighty, but I was in poverty. And I let them think what they wanted, not quite sure what they thought, but they obviously weren't imagining somebody just languishing in poverty after trying to change the world for everybody. So anyway, you can see here the wise and powerful. Oops. You can see here the what? Yeah. You can see here the what? That's called a special type of accident. It's not really an accident, but I did do it intentionally. So we see here the wise and powerful burger, and the web series is about a space clown or whatever, a powerful space god clown who serves burgers. That's the sort of thing that comes from the Jack Noir character. It's a story I get to elsewhere, but it's basically racist, And so anyway, what's an example of my power here? 9613. Those are my most special numbers. 96 represents me getting up close and personal. It's a special version of 99 or 69. Yeah, I was born associated with nines. 13 refers to my rings. My 13 rings, which is the cosmic setting I was creating as a teenager. I didn't choose those numbers, they just appeared. Like magic. I'm good at, things like special numbers. But boy, I can think of some special numbers I would like to accumulate, honestly and fairly. But every time I just try to get my own sort of career going, that these people come around attacking me like those trolls I referred to. I didn't expect much, but I did see that being humble was not exactly going to work. And so I made sure to develop the certain facts like that. I represent the cosmos. I'm very special. I'm pretty much the one person who does this. It makes me very special in a Christian way. Doesn't mean I have a big mansion or anything. Except in the afterlife, I do. So, anyway, predictably, I changed my mind and I'm going to make a YouTube video instead. Specifically because of you. Period. In fact, me making this message will be in the video. All you had to do was shut up. And if fans of Bigtop Burger are so pathological, it obviously demands me taking action against this franchise. So the pathology comes from, they were trained to attack me. Homestuck fans just can't avoid it. It's their programming, it's their culture, it's written into their psychology. And so I can literally tell them that, I'm going to take action, and the only thing there is that could prevent this is to simply stop, being nasty to me. And they don't. They refuse to. And you can see from this, although it's just part of the drawing, that they try to bring together things like Steven Universe, the Owl House, Homestuck, Bigtop Burger, and other things. Why is that? Rebecca Sugar and Dana Terrace are former students of John Kay. They interacted directly with John. They had conversations with him. He featured them on their blog. He featured them on his blog. And, I was also a John Kay student. Unlike them, I was in, serious poverty. I was oppressed since kindergarten for being an Italian, which means that I have a special affinity for creativity. And in the world I was born into, they didn't like the fact that Italians have a special inherent affinity for creativity. So I've gotten shit all my life. And that inspired my attitude because, I want to be me. I want other people like me to be them. And I want to help kids because cartoons can help kids. And that was my basic thought process for seriously advocating for John Kay's principles and also developing ideas and principles of my own. So there was a disaster mostly caused by Homestuck, and in the aftermath, people don't even want to acknowledge my existence. They can't even acknowledge it. There's this artist, his name is Manly Burger. Why? Well, that's going to cause problems for Bigtop Burger because the whole idea of Bigtop Burger is merging Andrew's clown obsession with my cosmic burger brand. That's the whole idea. It's merging together a plagiarist with the artistic brand of the guy who was plagiarized. That's really perverted. It's the sort of thing that Andrew evoked by putting incest content into his comic. It's not literally incest, it has a similar sort of sick feeling to incest. So, here's my artwork. You can see the space monsters. I've advanced their aesthetics since this image. If people won't support my artwork in any way to protect things like Bigtop Burger, well, I'm just going to roll out against Bigtop Burger. I'm going to message all the fans I can find, anybody in any way associated with it, including personal friends of Worthikids, because, what did Andrew do with my personal friends? He did things like bring them onto his team while, just leaving me to suffer. And I'm going to keep at that until, just people leave me alone with their hateful harassment and also forced ignorance, forced avoidance. Because there's no reason for them to just pretend like my work doesn't exist. Besides that, it's inconvenient for people like Worthikids. People, when they rejected my teenage revolution, they preferred things like careerism. So the thought process of careerism is that if something threatens a career, then it needs to be done away with. If that's a person, then they're going to do that. And that's the way they thought. Look at all these nice art careers and also some other careers. You could even include people like AOC, the famous stupid politician. Why? Because she has a pretty close relation to me. At least it seems that way. I mean, literal biological relation, you know. You're literally digging up a political candidate who could have a pretty close genetic lineage to myself. That's how people were when they were exploiting my teenage revolution. And by the way, I'm a Catholic, so in 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 Christianity, we have this belief in the last shall be first and the first shall be last. So, I don't really care about being last. That's not what I care about. Because it shows God approves of me. If I was on top of the world, then I would have a very favorable opinion with the Lord. But if I can't even have any sort of even mere existence, well, there's a lot of ways to exist while still being among the last. In fact, I think it's possible for me to be a billionaire in an alternate timeline and still be among the last. Why? Because of how much work I did to improve the world, even when it meant things like doing my best to directly fight Satan. So, people could try to dismiss me, they could try to ignore me, but there's something they missed. They didn't understand certain things of artistic philosophy because they didn't wait for me to explain them to them. They couldn't come up with them on their own. The very abstract structure of things like Bigtop Burger is dependent upon myself. And so when I do things like go against the fans, that directly affects, through abstract interaction, their enjoyment of the series and their identities as fans and so forth. And so you could try, you people who have been directly resisting me, you can try to say some stupid stuff. You can try to act like idiots, but the fact remains that every single fan artist I contact, every single enjoyer I contact, every single colleague of Worthikids I contact, it has a direct impact in the dimensions of artwork, the non-physical dimensions. So it's just not going to work very well. You're going to have to address this, or you're going to watch Bigtop Burger go up in flames.